Fire up the war chants and plant the spear. Noles win. Noles win.
Dude, $9.99. Let's play that again for Jasper. We can have two there.
Fire up the war chants and plant the spear. Noles win. Noles win.
Harlan, do not let me do another one of these lives without putting Jameis's voice in there, because we got to start giving the people some Jameis. I say every week I'm going to do that. We're going to get it done this week. Sorry, guys, that I've been a slacker. I think we'll have a good year, but do you think Benson will have as good, if not a better year, this upcoming season? Considering the line is probably on the paper the best long line we've had in a long time. Yeah, so I expect – so my bold prediction, one of my bold predictions this year that I missed by 10 yards was that Benson was going to go for 1,000 yards. And I'm so pissed that he was not very good in the bowl game and had an off day because I wanted to flex that so hard. I still feel pretty good about the bold prediction because, I mean, he went for 990 and caught over 10, so like he still had a good year. He also had that electric kick return, and that wasn't his only elite kick return. He had some other really good ones too. But when you look at his year, it took him some time to get going. Like, I thought that was going to be a horrible prediction because he didn't really do a lot early, right? Now, he went for 100 against Duquesne, but that's just because, I mean, we had all three backs went for 100, right? Toafili, Ward, and Benson. But then his next couple of games, he went for 15 against LSU, had pretty good days against Louisville and Boston College, going for 70 both times. But then he had 10 yards against Wake, 25 yards against NC State, 69 yards against Clemson, and just, through 7 games, he didn't have but 100-yard game. And his average, he just didn't have very many yards, right? Through the first 7 games of the year, it didn't look like he was going to end up getting anywhere close to that number that he got to. But down the stretch, going for 111, 128, 163, 80, and 111 certainly bumped him up and made him pretty special this year. I think he's going to go well over 1,000 because I think Florida State's going to play an extra game. I think they're going to go to Charlotte. He's going to be RB1 this year, so he's not going to have games like the Wake Forest game where he had 4 attempts. We obviously ran a lot more with Ward early in the year. He only had 6 attempts against LSU. He's going to get it going earlier. So, yeah, I think he's going to have one of the more elite years that you have seen from a running back at Florida State. What were the stats for Cam Akers his best year? Didn't he go like 1,400 yards or something? Like, if you're, what was Cam Akers stats, FSU? This is a great question, and it's a super chat, so I don't mind kind of going a little bit longer and rambling on this, but I think it's fun to think about what Benson could potentially do this year. So, yeah, Cam Akers in 2019 went for 1,144 yards. I think that Trey beats that. I think that Trey gets to 1,200 plus. I don't think he gets to the crazy Dalvin numbers. Dalvin went for just stupid yardage at Florida State. 1,765 his last year. I don't think he does that. The year before, he also went to 1,691. I don't think Trey gets that high because I do think Toafili and Hill and other guys do get the rock quite a bit. Obviously, Jordan runs quite a bit too. But I think he goes up over 1,200. Like, that'd be my bold prediction for next year is he goes over the 1,200 number, which I think would be a really good one. And you're spot on. The offensive line next year is going to be special. The offensive line is going to be the best we've had since 2013. That's all on paper. We'll see how it turns out. But if you get Big Meech back, the only thing you're losing is Gibbons. And I think Gibbons is a massive loss. Like, he was a great player for FSU, all ACC, but you've replaced him with some really good players. And you replaced him with a guy in Jeremiah Byers that a lot of people think is going to be elite at the next level. You replaced him with a guy named Casey Roddick, who I think we put a video out earlier this week. We talked about him last Friday. The offensive line is going to be really, really good. You have Keandre Jones in there mixing it up, who I loved his newcomer interview yesterday. I thought that was really good, and we'll probably do a video on that'll drop tomorrow. But yeah, great take from Jasper here. I think he'll have a good year. And Benson will be really, really special next year. There's also a lot of so I'm buying into the hype, obviously, and I think we're going to have a really good team. But there's a lot of bad defenses on this roster, on this schedule too. Got a really good question here about our secondary here that we'll get to in just a minute. But I think that the defenses we're going to play aren't going to be great. Look at the schedule. I think LSU will have a decent defense. I think that, I don't necessarily think that Florida State just runs it up on them. But if you look at the rest of the schedule, which comes out on Monday, we put out a video kind of breaking down what we thought Florida State's schedule, best worst case scenario could be. Southern Miss, he's going to run for as many yards as Mike Norvell wants him to run it for. Boston College, he's going to do the same thing. Miami's going to do the same thing. Syracuse is going to do the same thing. I think Wake Forest defense will not be anything special like it was last year. Virginia Tech, he's going to do the same thing. Duke, he's going to do the same thing. Florida, he's going to do the same thing. Now, Clemson's defense will be good, so I think that that's one that, he may not have 150 yards in. Pitt's defense, I think, will be good. But outside of those, I think you've got 9 bad defenses you're going up against. I'm not saying, I think he could go nuts. I think he could go for 1,200 plus. He could, if he goes off in those big games, that's what Dalvin could do. Dalvin would go up against that. That's where Benson can really take his game to the next level. And I feel like this could have been just the Trey Benson show today with how much we're giving him love. But Dalvin would go off against the good defenses. And that's what separated him. And that's what made him truly elite. And that's where if Benson wants to be mentioned in the name, like with the names like Dunn and Dalvin and those guys, he's got to do it against Clemson. And he's got to do it against LSU. And he's got to do it on the road at Pitt. Dalvin did. Dalvin would go up against Clemson and go off, right? Didn't matter. It was a good team. He didn't just get it. And I'm not trying to say Benson only got his yards against bad teams. That's not my point at all. But it's hard. It's hard to be a running back or play any position and absolutely dominate the best teams out there. Dalvin did. Dalvin went off again. Even when we were losing, Dalvin would go off against Clemson. Didn't matter. Florida had a good defense. Dalvin would go off. Miami would have a good Dalvin would go off. Didn't matter. And that's what the truly special ones do. Benson does that, then he can go for 1,500 this year. I don't know that he will. I think Florida State will spread the rock a lot. You got a lot of playmakers out there. I think you'll see Jaheim Bell line up in the backfield and get the rock like that a little bit. But, man, that's a great question. And I appreciate, Jasper, I appreciate you for the super chat. Again, really do appreciate the support. Appreciate those that even through this video have signed up to be a supporter. You can sign up and you can join the channel. Right under the video, there's a button that says join. You can join for $3.99 a month, $9.99. There are different levels. You get different badges and stuff. So thank you to the folks that even now are signing up and supporting. It really does mean a lot. Make sure you guys do that. If you're already subscribed to the channel, it's a great way to support. If you're not subscribed, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. Quick shout out to our friends over at Gramco, thegramco.com, and then we'll answer a question on the secondary. But quick shout out to our friends over at Gramco, thegramco.com. You can use TJ25 to get 25% off of all of your Delta 8 needs. I don't think it's out just yet, but they do have a Super Bowl box coming out, a Super Bowl pack that you guys are going to love. You're going to need to get it for your parties and everything that you've got going on around the Super Bowl. Make sure that you're supporting Gramco. They support our channel. They support what we do on this show. TJ25 for 25% off the best Delta 8 products on the market. Make sure that you try those blue raspberry gummies. They are the GOAT. Green apple's really, really good too. So check them out today. They got watermelon, blue raspberry, tropical fruit punch, green apple, thegramco.com. Must be 21 or older to order, but check them out for sure.